We have some new people. I know. Trying to see if we've got a quorum yet. Let me see.
Del, you have 7 members.
Okay. Thanks, Joanna. I really don't like making people wait, but see, maybe just a couple more minutes. Maybe wait till 6:35 if that's okay with everyone. Right back. All right, anybody else come in?
No.
Okay. 2 more minutes, we'll wait, and then we'll get started. Okay, we'll wait 1 more minute. I said we'd wait till 6:35. Okay, we'll get started. Joanna, I don't have the list here. Do you think you could do a roll call?
Sure.
Thank you.
Del T,
Here.
Maria Vieira, Trina McKeever,
Here.
Stephen Schussler,
Here.
Erin Drinkwater, Moish Indig, Bozena Kaminsky, Corey Canty,
Here.
Paul Kentabor,
I'm here.
Adam Myers,
Here.
Sante Miseli, Rabba David Edelman, Karen Yeves, Isaac Sofer, William Vega,
Here.
Simon Weiser, Michael Andrews, Keith Berger, Michael Wakolka,
Kowalska,
yes, Katie Naptablaski,
Here.
Allison Stone. You have 8 members present.
okay, let's get started and then. if-
Pardon me,
Madam Chair, this is
Oh,
Maria
Maria's
Vieira.
here.
Yes.
Maria Vieira is here. That's 9. Not quite a quorum. So let me just start by welcoming new members and reminding everyone that the commitment to this committee is really a serious commitment. And out of respect for the people who do make it a point to come here, I see Mr. Sante is here too, so that's, I think, 10. We need
Oh,
one
yeah,
more
thank
for
you.
quorum. Out of respect for the presenters and the people who do show up regularly, I am not shy about asking the chair to remove people who do not regularly attend. So periodically, I repeat that little sermon, and I do mean it. So on the other hand, those of you who do show up regularly and make that commitment, not only do I appreciate you, but I know that the community and the people who have to, spend a huge amount of time and effort and money to present before us, they appreciate it too. So let's get started. Who's going to be presenting?
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Pat Sullivan from the law firm Kramer Levin, and we are representing the applicant for this application, it's the Williamsburg Charter High School. Gary Tarnoff of our office is on the phone too. If you attended the community board's full meeting in September, you saw our presentation. Then we'd like to go through it again and then give you the chance to ask us any questions that you have. As we've discussed before, this is an application pursuant to section 7319 of the zoning resolution for a BSA special permit to allow a school in an M1 zoning district. And we can talk about the specific findings of that application, but the most important thing is that the charter school has an existing building on Verret Street, which was itself the subject of a BSA special permit in 2009. So the new building is going to be a gym building located directly next door to the existing school. It will improve their physical education curriculum, but the school population is not changing, and the traffic of students to and from the is not changing. So one thing I do want to correct from what I had said at the full board meeting before in September, I said that when there was a question about the possible hazardous materials on the site, I had said that both a phase 1 and a phase 2 report had been performed. In fact, a phase 1 has been completed, and the phase 2 has not yet begun. But because of the relatively benign historical uses of the site, we're not expecting any issues. So I'd like to turn over to the representatives of the school and the architect to tell you about the building. We have Valerie Jacobson, who's the head of operations for the school. And do we have Jenny Bashir on here? I don't see him here. So then we also have David Briggs and Ed Jose from the architect, and we have a representative of the environmental consultants, Jason Diaz from Philip Habib and Associates, here to answer any questions about the environmental review. So with that, I think I'll turn it over to Valerie, if you can talk about the school and the project.
Good evening. My name is Valerie Jacobson. I'm the head of operations for Williamsburg Charter High School. And we're so excited to see the space that is actually contiguous with the school available. As you heard, we are we've been serving the community. We have about 963 students. They're high school students living in the community, from the community. And we need additional gym space for our gym program and also for our after-school sports programs within the existing school building. Right now, we only have 4 rooms for the gym program, and due to the requirements for gym and for health for graduation, at any point in time, we have about 2/3 of our students programmed for gym. And right now we have one gym space that does not fit any sort of basketball court at all. It does not fit a regulation volleyball court. And then next door to that, we have a small weight room just for fitness that fits about 20 students. The gym itself fits about 30 students. And then we have a yoga/dance studio. So basically the gym program shares with the dance program right now. And then our final space is actually a repurposed classroom that we use for movement activities. And so with this new gym space next door, we actually do plan to have a connection to the building so that our students can go in and out of the next door building from our building, so that they can have their gym classes. And then also the new gym space next door allows or fits a regulation size volleyball court, and then it will also fit basketball for 3-on-3. So no, not a regulation basketball court, but it will be suitable for enhancing our PE program and for the basketball teams to practice. And then definitely for our volleyball teams to practice. Presently, our volleyball teams utilize the cafeteria after school, and the cafeteria is a multi-purpose space where, many other events take place. So the volleyball team, often finds themselves without the necessary space. I think, Patrick, are you muted?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. So David and Ed, do you want to show your screen and talk about the building itself?
Sure. Let me try to share this.
While Ed's bringing that up, I'm David Briggs. I'm the founding partner and principal of Loci Architecture. Ed's going to present our design for the project, which is taking an industrial warehouse, former owner used for parking his trucks, and converting it into an athletic facility, but still maintaining as much as we can the industrial character, which we feel is very important for the community and the neighborhood. I'll just turn it over to Ed, and then we'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. This is the front facade of 188 Barrett Street, formerly a vehicle storage warehouse. There's a large overhead steel door in the center and flanked by 2 windows and then 2 egress doors on the side.
I'm sorry, I have something in front of your image that says rearrange videos in this stage. Does anybody else have that? Or is that just me?
You just have to say got it.
Yeah, just say got it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Doc.
Each
Sorry.
of us has it, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, does everyone have a clear image of the slide show?
Yes.
Okay. This is an aerial bird's eye view from the north, showing the existing high school. It's a multi-level building here. And then beside it, highlighted in red, is the existing vehicle storage warehouse, which is the property in question. Below that, an axonometric view showing that the existing building takes up the full footprint of the lot, 50 feet by 100 feet. It's 5,000 square feet. And over here on the left is a roof plan showing the second story and the lower roof areas of the main space. These are the proposed plans. What we'd like to do is provide restroom facilities, storage, utility rooms, and of course the entrance on the left here, and another egress door into the main gymnasium space where we have a full volleyball court. And then in the middle, we have about a 1,000 square foot mezzanine where we have an exercise room and an office, and it's open to the gymnasium below. Then going up these new stairs up to the second floor, we have what was formerly office space, but we'd like to convert it to a flexible classroom with a retractable partition. Also some more restroom facilities, and then an ADA platform lift, which would connect it to the second floor of the existing high school to the right. This is a rendering of the proposed front elevation. It's a aluminum clad facade. And then to the right, we've sort of made the right door more grand to mark the entrance to the facility. Then we've also worked in some new windows, working with the existing overhead door opening. And this would provide daylight into the interior of the space. These are photographs of existing conditions. The existing condition is architectural block construction. The interior is a slab on grade, open web steel joist for the roof structure. And there's the ancillary spaces that are going to be demolished. This next slide is just slides of the existing facilities in the existing high school building that Valerie described at 198 Verret Street. And this is a rendering of the proposed new gym facility. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Ed. So that's all we have to present. We'd love to hear your questions. One technical thing that I should say is that our application includes also in amendments of the prior special permit for the existing building. That building also received a variance. So the approved plans for both the variance and that old special permit need to be modified to create those internal connections. Okay.
Does anyone have any questions?
I do. This is Steve Chesler.
Okay, Steve, yes.
Thank you. Thanks for presenting the project again. Yeah, I have a couple things I wanted to hopefully address. Is first, I thought I heard you say you're going to demolish the existing structure, confirm that, and are you going to essentially dig up the slab and remediate the site, or are you essentially going to build on top of it, or with include parts of the existing structure?
Actually,
Yes, sir.
so we're actually planning to use the existing building. When I said demolishes, I was referring to some of the minor interior partitions that are enclosing an existing office space that's there. But we're planning to use the entire the existing building. The front wall is existing, and we're just reskinning that. And it's the same roof structure as well. So what we're trying to do is an adaptive reuse of this building, and trying to contribute as little as possible to the landfills.
Got it. Okay.
And we're not expecting any remediation will be needed. There's of course going to be a usual phase 2 to confirm that. But the historic use of the site was actually as a there were 2 residential apartment buildings there, about built about 100 years ago, which were demolished in the 1977. So this warehouse was built only in 2004. So there's not a history of toxic uses of the site. And Jason Diaz from the environmental consultant is here. Would you like to add anything on that?
Hi, everyone. So I have a 1-year-old that's not very happy right now. So excuse me for the violent interruption.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Patrick summed it up pretty well. The past use on the site was actually not so intense in terms of industrial uses. And the phase one that was drafted a few months ago basically reiterated that. And while the phase one had no recommendations for further testing, DEP taking the more conservative route asked us to perform phase two anyway. But we're pretty sure, I mean, the phase two will ultimately tell us these things, but we're fairly certain the phase two will, come back with no VOCs, SVOCs, or any other types of hazardous materials that may be on the site. And yeah, I guess that pretty much sums it up. I mean, if there's any other questions about the remedial actions, yeah, happy to answer.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I have a question too.
I wasn't finished. Thank
Oh,
you.
sorry, Steve. I thought you were.
Okay. Yeah, are you going to comply with local environmental laws in terms of, sourcing non-fossil fuel sources for, for heating and power potentially, and any, roof design in terms of green roofs or something along those lines, to further that cause and potentially be a learning device?
Well, we're of course trying to make this as environmentally sustainable as possible. I mean, the very act of reusing a building goes a long way towards doing that. We're not contributing to the land wastes. Of course, all of the products, we always, our policy is to look for low VOC finishes, products with high recycled content. Anything that we can do to recycle and reuse, and we are doing. And the roof, of course, this building was not, being a warehouse, vehicular warehouse, was not insulated, so we are insulating the building to comply with current energy efficiency codes. And so we'll be insulating the roof, insulating the walls. We are putting a roof with a high albedo, which is high reflectivity, so that there's little solar gain as possible. We are judiciously putting new insulated glass windows and skylights for daylighting without overly taxing the cooling loads of the building. And yeah, it's basically it. It's we're doing everything we can to make this sustainable and environmentally friendly.
And just to add to that, we will comply with all applicable local laws. I mean, that's a requirement. There were some optional things you mentioned there in terms of green roofs and say PVs, and that's something we'd have to discuss with the client. Perhaps if there's rebate programs available or something like that.
Yeah, it just seemed like, with the school, that would be, perfect opportunity to deploy some of those, those options in terms of green roofs or solar, or something that's really forward thinking in terms of, the need to adapt is accelerating, as to what's physically happening, obviously, in the world, but also our city and local climate laws,
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Dante? I think Sante Michelli has some questions.
Oh, sorry, I didn't unmute myself. I believe you already covered, and Steve posed the question that were in my mind. But again, I love to reinforce a little bit because I see it's a large roof. It's a great opportunity to push a little bit more for more efficiency. Will you research a little bit more in possibility of installing solar panel, because that is going to be definitely need for energy and consume of energy. Even in light is going to be a gym, and so I was wondering, and are you going to have a shower facility? What happened in terms of water? Could potentially this shower be heated by a solar system and accumulators to save energy? Yeah, additional question to what?
Well,
There's a lot of money. You go ahead, Ed.
well, we are of course going to be using all LED light fixtures, which will provide as low a draw on energy as possible. But as David is getting into it, all these options you mentioned, we'll have to discuss with the client because they have cost impact to the budget of the project.
Well, I was just going to add, there's a lot of money now that's become recently available through the Build Back Better bill that was passed. And if there are opportunities, say, to install a PV system that can be fully funded by someone else, that sure, definitely, we have to research that. So we can commit to the research. We would love to have that there. I don't disagree with you at all. It's a great opportunity. It's just a matter of sort of payback and initial investment and stuff like that. It is going to be, Ed, I don't know if we confirmed this, is it an electric building?
You mean?
What, meaning, are we using any gas to fire up the HVAC?
I checked the progress of our HVAC system. I don't think we're at that stage yet. I don't think that's been specified, so I couldn't confirm that. But whether or not we use natural gas, you mean? It's too hard to say right now. There's those units, the rooftop units have not been fully spec'd out yet, so I can't really say.
Also, in regard to the ground floor, are you going to repour a concrete slab, or you're just going to keep the same slab? What you are going to do? Other great opportunity could be to have a radiant system on the ground floor and maybe add an additional insulation if you are planning to do it. Just curious how a little bit more probably can be done if feasible with your budget.
I think we're aware of all these strategies for sustainability, but as you said, these will have cost impacts, and we have to investigate that further with our client. Yeah.
Okay,
I also want to just add a radiant floor system. This is going to be a wood floor. It's going to be athletic flooring, and radiant floor systems don't operate too well under wood flooring because of the obvious shrinkage that occurs. The second thing is it's very high space, so you get a lot of stratification that occurs in the radiant system. So you're heating things down low, but not up on the mezzanine. So what may seem like and I've done radiant systems, but what may seem like a very effective way to heat this space may not turn out to be that way because you can't get a clean distribution of the warm air throughout the space, given its height.
Okay, thank you.
I don't see any.
I've got,
It's
I had a
oh,
question.
yeah.
Trina, do
I've
you
got
have a
My
question.
hand, go ahead, Trina, but my hand's been raised.
Oh, I'm sorry, Maria, you go first.
Just a question. I mean, it's a charter school, so I assume that it's funded through public funds. Is that correct?
Valerie, can you speak to that?
So we're an independent public charter school. We do not get any facility funding from the city. We also, based on when our charter was granted, we don't qualify for any lease payment assistance that some other charter schools may be getting through the city. So we just operate on our designated per pupil funding, which is about 80% of what a regular public school would get. And this project will be self-funded.
So when you say self-funded, can you explain, can you provide more context on that?
Yes. Manny, are you here
Yeah, hi.
to
How you
talk about
doing?
our financing? Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Just-
Manny Morales. I was a board member for the charter school when we started this project. So the funding, we're going to hopefully have bonds issued on the project for the acquisition and the construction of the space. So that's part of the next phase once these approvals if and when the approvals go through. So the funding is will be private. It will be a bond offering, and that is a tax-free bond. The issuer is Build NYC. They're the only issuer in New York City that can offer tax-free bonds. So we have to go through their process as well. And they'll have some similar questions to yours in terms of environmental use as well. So that's how we plan on. That's how hopefully we'll plan on funding is through a bond offering.
Thank you. And if you're wondering why I asked that question, it's particularly about the passive house and energy efficiency building. Thank you.
Sure. Happy to answer any other questions if.
Okay, Dale, can I ask my question? It's Trina, and
Yes,
I just want to understand what we're being asked. There's the underlying zoning for that building, and then I guess there was a variance issued once for something else, and this is a different use. And is this special permit, does this have to do specifically with school funding? I just want to understand what it is.
So the special permit is specifically to allow the BSA to approve a school use in a manufacturing zoning district where it's not allowed otherwise as of right. And so there was one, as we said, the same section of the zoning code allowed the existing school to operate on its site. We're now seeking the same special permit, but for the site. So after the community board votes and makes its recommendation, this application will go to the BSA, where they will review the project probably in the next two months. So your recommendation here is advisory to the BSA.
Thank you.
So Trina, as I understand it, the school itself exists because it had also gotten a special permit. We approved that. Now they want to have this additional building, connected to the school so they can have this additional space. So that's the second special permit.
And how long ago was the school built?
The special permit for the school was 2009, and the building was built around that time.
Yes, Katie.
I don't know if this is relevant because it's not really what we're voting on, but just in terms of some design ideas, why not larger windows to let in sunlight, perhaps up high, the facade. I don't know, maybe by that scale, maybe those are large enough, but just seems like why not make use of sunlight if you can, for all the good reasons we could think of. And then also, I just, that metal just seems very generic, but maybe that's kind of a taste thing. But in relation to that, I wanted to just say, and I know we're not to really have an influence on this perhaps, but the original door has a mural on it, which it looks quite attractive. And why not either use that mural in some way on the facade, or have the students design something else to go on that building. It just it's just so sterile looking. And it just seems like an opportunity, one, for more light with windows, and then also a way to have a little bit of color or painting or mural on that facade. And so that's my comments. Is that a possibility?
Ed or Dave, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. This facade is actually a second design that we're showing you today. Earlier on, we had a design with a lot more glazing. In fact, that facade was completely new. We were actually tearing down the old CME block, but we've had initial price estimates and proved to be cost prohibitive. So what this new design is doing is making use of the existing openings so that the existing wall can stay, existing lintels can stay. We are not doing anything structural with this wall. These openings you see in the center actually fit within the opening of this door. It's 2 windows to the side, also within the openings, existing openings. The location of these windows have to do with the stairway and how it relates to the interior layout. As you can see on the ground floor, there are utility rooms and restrooms, which are not good for having windows into them. And but as you go up the stairs, that is all lit with the new windows, and so there will be natural light in there. And going back to this, you can see that there's a lot of glazing in the exercise room, so that those the new exterior windows can shine through and provide light to the interior. So we were trying to come up with a cost-effective way of renovating this facade in terms of windows and putting them where they make sense. As for the aluminum cladding, we feel that it's actually appropriate to the and contextual to the buildings on this street. This street has a lot of brick and metal, and it has an industrial flavor to it, or character. And what we're doing here is having vertical corrugations and some aluminum cladding, and having some color accents with the green and around the openings. And the corrugations will also have subtle gradations of shade going across. You can probably see them. There are these vertical bands of gray, but that goes toward tying the entire composition together. What you probably can't see too well on this rendering is that there are some recessed LED lighting strips that tie to these windows, and they go from the window sills down to the ground. And so there'll be some exterior lighting here, and I think that with the colorful trim, it sort of adds to goes toward not making it sterile.
I would also add that this is the north elevation, and this goes back to the earlier comments about sustainability, that we don't want very large openings on the north wall of the building, given the obvious heat loss. So we're trying to compose something here with these neutral shifting shades. It's all corrugated going across, which I don't think we said in the beginning. and then these sort of pops of color with these LED strips coming down. I think it'll be much more active than what's coming across in this drawing. But we want to, you know, also just control the amount of fenestration so it doesn't become just a way for all the heat that's going to be generated inside to escape.
And I don't know if you can see, there's a person here in shadow for scale. So these windows are really large. They're over 8 feet high. They're very large windows. They're not small.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands. Are we ready for a vote?
Yeah, I just like they commented, I think the central reasoning, what I'm gathering for obtaining this permit is there seems to be a lack of space for recreation or for athletics or, active uses in the existing building. So it just seems, like a good motivation to create that in this adapted space.
I agree personally. I also think that the design with all of this, with the lighting on the outside and the bits of green might make a really attractive, outside for the building. I don't know. It's a little hard to tell, obviously, just from a drawing like this, but I think that these kids deserve to have their gym program extended. And these are kids from our neighborhood, the local kids.
I agree. I think it's a cool use of the space.
Yeah.
Interior looks a lot like the gym that I grew up in, but then the exterior mimics Williamsburg. So I appreciate the efforts there.
It's also nice in the industrial area not to be being asked to approve a residential project to actually expand the school.
It certainly is. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve. Steve Chesler.
I second.
Motion, William Vega.
Okay, who is seconding?
William. William Vega.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, I guess I have to do a roll call vote. I have a list now, so why don't I go through it? Teague, yes.
Yes.
Teague, yes. Vieira,
Yes.
McKeever,
Yes.
Chesler,
Yes.
Drinkwater. I'm going to call everybody's name. I know some are not here. Drinkwater, Indig, Kaminsky, Canton,
Yes.
Kelterborn,
Yes.
Myers,
Yes.
Michelli,
Yes.
Rabbi Niederman, Nieves, Sofa, Vega,
Yes.
Weiser, Andrews, Berger. I think Keith is here.
I am, yes. Thank you.
Okay, I think we have a quorum. Kawachka.
Yes.
More than a quorum. Excellent. Naplatarski
Yes.
and Stone. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And see you all at the full board meeting. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Before we go,
Yes.
can I ask some questions about attendance? When does the attendance year go from? Is it from July to July, or is it, does anybody know? Or is it from
Well,
September?
the terms go from April 1st to March 31st. But I don't know if our attendance policy, I can't remember if it applies to a calendar year or to the term.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
been kind of frozen in COVID too.
yeah.
Okay, when is it going to unfreeze? And can we, I know Dell, you addressed this in the beginning, but isn't there some way to look at the last calendar year and see who has not been here at all and do something about that within our own community board? I know you mentioned this, Dell, already, and also to the borough president's office. I mean, it just seems like time to move on these attendance things within the committee and within the community board itself. I mean, it's in bylaws.
Also, I was wondering, Dale, because I don't know if in these last 2 years there was ever an attendance committee meeting. I remember when I joined the board, so more than 2 years ago, I remember there was a conversation about having a meeting, but that never happened. So probably that's another question.
And it just seems like there's no excuse now. I mean, it's easier than ever to come to a meeting. And so
it seems to me that you're talking about two different things. I think you're talking about our committee, and then you're talking about the overall attendance at the community board. Now, I have a certain amount of control over keeping track of who attends our committee regularly, and I do. And I have repeatedly then asked that members who don't attend on a regular basis be removed, and the chair has been very good about removing those people. So I've had a number of people removed. Now, I'm not saying you have to show up for every meeting. People have emergencies. But if you're missing consecutively, I mean, I feel like if you've missed 3 meetings, I ask the chair to, unless you have, unless you come to me and come to the committee and explain to us, that something happened and we understand, then of course we can always make, allowances for that. Now, if you're talking about the full board, I don't know. I mean, we could talk about this, but I don't know if this is the place to talk about it. Some of you will know that in the past we have, not we, when I say we, I mean the board requested formally of the borough president that certain members be removed. We passed resolutions and we sent it to the borough president and asked these people be removed, and it was not done. Now, that being said, we have a new borough president. So I don't know.
Just a point of correction. Actually, eventually it was, they said we had to amend our bylaws to allow due process in terms of related to the removing a board member or recommending a move.
Yeah.
So we did that.
Yes, we did.
Subsequently, those 2 board members were removed and 1 resigned. So.
But nothing can happen unless there's an attendance meeting at all. I mean, in terms of the larger community board, there has to be an attendance meeting.
Wasn't one of the removed members put back on the board recently?
I believe that's right. Yeah.
And then just looking at the committee members that are on this committee, like I see a few of them that I haven't seen in a year, 6 months. I mean,
I don't know of any member that hasn't been here for a year or even 6 months.
Really? Okay.
Do you want to speak about someone in particular? I mean,
has Allison Stone been here?
Yes, actually, she has. Yes.
Really?
Yes, recently, yes. Yes.
Excuse me. I feel uncomfortable that we're talking about internal matters in public. So I just don't feel comfortable.
I
about
don't think
this.
there's anything wrong with it.
It's a public meeting.
Respectfully speaking, William, it's just, at some point, this has to be addressed.
But I'm
Yeah,
not
but-
sure
but-
this is the place
But
to
we
discuss
just
it.
mentioned
I
someone's
don't know that
name.
this is the place to discuss it. It seems to me this is something that should be brought up at the full board meeting.
Agree.
This is a land use committee meeting.
Correct.
I'm not sure why you're bringing it up. I mean,
Because
is it there's something you want me to do about this? Me as one person on the.
I'm not sure, really. I'm not
Okay,
sure.
I'm also not comfortable mentioning people's names without all the facts. So, again, this is a land use meeting, not the attendance meeting. That's all.
That's why I mentioned there is a competence of the attendance committee, and there hasn't been a meeting in a while, and generally that's probably what should be asked. But
I agree with Dell. And by the way, there are still people here from the presentation that I think you're welcome to stay, but you don't have to stay. I think it's over. We voted in favor of the project.
Okay.
Yeah,
This is a public
thank
meeting.
you. We didn't want to be rude, so,
Invited.
but thank you.
Anyone who wants to be here is
Thank you to everyone.
Thank you. We'll jump off now.
Thank you.
So
I just feel like it
I
needs to
also
be.
am not really crazy about naming people by name. I guess the only reason I even allowed it was because I knew very well that there was no one that you were going to be able to name who hasn't been here for that long, because I do keep track. That's for our committee. That's the, but in terms of the full board and the attendance committee, I think this needs to be brought up at the full board.
Yeah. I don't mean to overstep anything, and I understand that there's the full board versus this. If I'm going to speak on this, I have to sign up during my 2 minutes during full board meeting, and that's not always something I want to do. So I want to just bring it up because I think it needs to be tightened. It's my community. A lot of times we fight for a quorum even on this committee, and then fight for a quorum during community board. And I know that there are long-time people who are here every single time, and then they have to suffer through committees or through full board meetings without a quorum. And it's annoying. And it's been annoying for years. And there hasn't been an attendance meeting for how long? That's unacceptable. And the executive committee can push for that too. So I'm just really standing up for the frustration that I know. I've heard people who are board members.
Katie, why are you doing it here? Why in this forum? I don't understand.
Because
you
I'm
have
sharing
a forum for this.
Yeah, I have a forum that's a 2-minute window that I have to sign up for and maybe not even be listened to, because it's like the 2 minutes maybe that people don't listen and then we just move on to something else. I'm just bringing it up as a way to throw it out there, Dell, because there's ears here, and I just want to really kind of say it's a problem. And I hope that, the executive committee, and if it's a problem, listen, I've been to almost every one of these land use meetings, and it just seems like it's the same people almost all the time. And I don't know, there's some things to be fixed. And I just want to say that.
Katie, I think that we all appreciate the sentiment. I think that that's why Dell brought it up in the beginning. And you have been heard, I would say.
Yes, and there is an executive committee meeting that happens every month. Anyone who wants to come can come. Some people do. It's not just for the executive committee, and that is possibly another forum that you can speak at. As far as this committee goes, there isn't one person here except for myself, thank God, and that God willing, it'll be that way, that, you know, I have not missed a committee meeting, but there isn't one person here who hasn't missed. So some people are not as good as others, but I personally am very proud of this committee. And I think given the amount of meetings and time that we have to spend, I'm very proud of this committee.
I am too.
And
Don't get me wrong.
Not just the people who are here tonight. There are, you know, we met through the summer. We meet all year round. We don't get a break. And if somebody really does seem to just not show up for, in my opinion, I usually use 3 consecutive meetings with no given reason, then I usually write a letter to them, ask them if they really are interested in staying on the committee, and tell them that if their attendance does not improve, I will have to ask the chair to remove them, and that's my policy. As far as outside of this committee, more than that, I think there are other forums, Katie. And I think a lot of the committee members are telling you that they're not comfortable dealing with that here. You know, you're talking about a bigger issue, and you're talking about it when the bigger population is not here to respond to you.
Well, there's no harm done in voicing something which other people might have an interest in, and then they too can carry on that message.
I think you might want to mention it though at forums that really can do something about it. I think there's been a concern recently about people bringing up issues in different, you know, committee meetings when they were either directly or indirectly accusing people of things, and those people didn't have an opportunity to respond. And I don't really want to. I don't want to encourage that. You know, and I frankly think that this committee, the people on this committee don't always agree with each other, and that's fine. That's perfect. It would be kind of bizarre if we all always agreed, you know. I mean, like, oh yes, okay, fine, sure, whatever they say. No, but I don't want that. But I want us to treat each other with respect. And
well, I have no problem with that. I never have. You asked me to name a name, and I named a name. So
look, I think that you may or may not have a problem with it. I believe you don't have a problem with it, but I'm telling you, I don't think this is an appropriate forum to discuss this. There are appropriate, if there were not, if something was going on where we were all being, you know, we were being punished for opening our mouths, and people had to start meeting in little enclaves to avoid being shut down or punished, that'd be another story. But we don't have that. There, you have the full board meeting, you have the executive committee meeting, and maybe more. Maybe you should. I don't know who's in charge of the. I don't know who's the chair of the attendance committee. You can communicate with the person who is the chair. Perhaps you can become the co-chair or the chair.
About 3 years ago, with North Brooklyn Progressive Dems, we spent hours or days on this to make the change that Steve Chesler brought up about, and other people on the board did too. It was a big effort. I'm sorry.
And now you're a board member. Now you're a board member. So now you have other options available to you.
I'm saying, listen, I'm just saying, I'm not about to do that again. I'm not. So I hope somebody else will do it. Let me put it that way.
I don't think you need to do it, but I think if you want to bring this up, then I would recommend that you either bring it up at the executive committee meeting, the full board, perhaps at an attendance committee meeting, and maybe there are other outlets. I don't know. This is just off the top of my head. Maybe somebody else has other suggestions. But in terms of this committee, that's I've just given you my policy. So, and my goal has always been to get the members of this committee to feel as though we are in some way a cohesive committee, a group that where people are free to have different opinions, free to disagree with each other. If you want to yell at each other, that's okay with me, as long as nobody's hurt. And as long as we can talk to each other and not be afraid to voice our opinion. But I just don't think that this is the forum for discussing the overall issues with respect to people outside of this committee and whether they're attending or not, and what should happen with the full board, you know. And I think, frankly, I think it's important that if board members have problems, that you bring it up at the full board. This is an easy one. You know, Dell will listen. Dell will, you know, have people talk, have a nice group therapy session, and it'll go nowhere. I think that these are issues that need to be addressed, and they need to be addressed clearly, and they need to be addressed with your votes. So, and that includes me, you know, whatever. So anyway, does anyone else have anything they want to say?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, thank you. I will go back to taking care of my husband.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah, thank you, Dal, for your
Thank you,
leadership.
Del.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.